Hi Stonewall, I'm on Xavier, and today's theory Thursday, and today's theory is, why didn't Snow have a hovercraft? So, you're telling me that a leader of a dictator, totalitarian, dystopian country is not able to get a hovercraft when he knows his life is probably forfeit the second that he called a ceasefire. Snow is not an idiot. He can see the writing on the wall. He knows that the game is up. You can argue that most likely in exchange for a ceasefire, he could guarantee his safety for his life, but he kind of at this point knows that Corin has definitely played him, and there's no way he's walking out of this alive. So, why didn't he have a hovercraft? Well, most likely he did, but he used it for something else. Now, we know Snow has a few weaknesses. Most notably, he can't look past, when he sees something that bugs him, he can't stop thinking about it, and it will be his destruction. But there's only one type of person that Snow lets get close to him. His blood family. This is most likely for a narcissistic reason, but right now we're not trying to discuss the psychology of that. But why wouldn't the family of President Snow be in custody? Because that's something that I feel weird was not brought up at any point, especially when Joanna Mason brought up her reasoning for winning a symbolic Hunger Games with the Capital Citizens. Snow has a granddaughter. Wouldn't it have been easy for her to add that she was in custody? And, theoretically speaking, along with the rest of her family? Because, come on, the revolution is not above killing children, and we know that this group would probably walk away anyone related to Snow that wasn't helping them. Most likely, Tigress did not even tell them that she was even remotely related to Snow. Which makes sense. Coin actively was about to kill Effie if Plutarch and Hamish didn't fight to make sure that didn't happen. So, it would only make sense that Coin would definitely have this family of President Snow executed, regardless of any crimes that they were actually a part of. So, Snow, doing the math, doing his risk calculations, and knowing how he cares about his family, even if it's in a narcissistic sense, especially from the scenes that we see in the movies of between Snow and his granddaughter, which might have not been in the books, but we do know Susan Collins had a massive part in directing and making sure how these scenes went. So it makes sense that most likely Snow cared deeply for his granddaughter, and by extension his child, most likely this is how his family was treated. So there's a good chance that he had his child and whoever their spouse was, along with any of his grandchildren that he had, in a hovercraft with a few remaining loyal peacekeepers to go out and make sure that they're safe somewhere far from the capital. Most likely in a district that had very little to no revolutionary kind of patrols so that they would be safe, or just somewhere in the wilderness where they could theoretically lay low until a more reasonable person came into power and hopefully pardon them. And I think Commander Pereler would probably pardon these guys. They probably did nothing to our knowledge, and they're just related to a terrible person. They aren't terrible people in themselves, most likely. Well, that's my thoughts. Tell me yours down in the comments below. As for me, I'm off to fight the moon. Bye!